In Memoriam by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Kristen Hand. J.S.P. You go before me on all roads, on bridges broad enough to spread, between the learned and the dunce, between the living and the dead. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The White Witch by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Kristen Hand. The dark Diana of the groves, whose name is Hecate in hell, heaves up her awful horns to heaven, white with the light I know too well. The moon that broods upon her brows mirrors the monstrous hollow lands in leprous silver. At the term of triple twisted roads she stands. Dreams are no sin or only sin for them that waking dream they dream. But I have learned that wiser nights follow the grail and not the gleam. I found one hidden in every home, a voice that sings about the house, a nurse that scares the nightmares off, a mother nearer than a spouse, whose picture once I saw, and there, wild as of old and weird and sweet, in sevenfold splendor blazed the moon, not on her brow, beneath her feet. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Return of Eve by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. When man rose up out of the red mountains of which man was made, a giant ribbed out of the red mountains, reared and displayed. Of him was not posterity nor parent, future or past, but the sun beheld him for a beauteous monster, the first and last. When God arose upon the red mountains, man had fallen prone, flat and flung wide like a continent, capes and headlands, the vast limbs thrown. And the Lord lamented over man, saying, Never shall there be but one, for no man born shall be mighty as he was mighty, to amaze the sun. Not till I put upon me the red armor that was man's clay, and walk the world with the mask of man for a visor. Not till that day, for on God alone shall the image of God be graven, which Adam wore. Seeing I alone can lift up this load of ruin, to walk once more. But the Lord looked down on the beauty of woman shattered, a fallen sky, crying, O crown and wonder of the world's desire, shall this too die? Lo, it repenteth me that this too is taken. I will repay, I will repair and repeat of the ancient pattern, even in this clay. And this alone, out of all things fallen and formless, I will form anew. And this red lily of all the uprooted garden, plant where it grew, that the dear dead thing that was all and only a woman, without stain or scar, rise fallen no more with Lucifer, son of morning, the morning star. The cloud came down upon the red mountains, long since untrod, red quarries of incredible creation, red minds of God, and a dwarfed and dwindled race in the dark red desert stumbled and strayed, while one in the mortal shape that was once for immortals made was remade, till a face looked forth from a window in one white daybreak, small streets above, as the face of the first love of our first father, the world's first love. And men looked up at the woman made for the morning, when the stars were young, for whom more rude than a beggar's rhyme in the gutter, these songs are sung. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Party Question by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. You hear a great deal about his mother, for Our Lady has become the patron of a party, whereas Christ was never a party leader. Mr. Arnold Lunn on Roman Converts. The golden roses of the glorious mysteries grew wild as cowslips on the common land. Hers who was more humanities than histories, until you banned them as a badge is banned. The silver roses of the sorrow of Mary, and the red roses of her royal mirth were free, till you, turned petulant and wary, went weeding wild flowers from your mother earth. Mother of man, the mother of the Maker, silently speaking as the flowering trees, what made of her a striker and a breaker, who spoke no scorn even of men like these? She named no hypocrites a viper race, she nailed no tyrant for a vulpine cure, she flogged no hucksters from the holy place. Why was your new wise world in dread of her? Whom had she greeted and not graced in greeting? Whom did she touch and touch not to his peace? And what are you that made of such a meeting quarrels and quibbles and a taunt to tease? Who made that inn a fortress? What strange blindness beat on the open door of that great heart, stood on its guard against unguarded kindness, and made the sun a secret set apart? By this we measure you upon your showing so many shields to her who bore no sword, all your unnatural nature and the flowing of sundering rivers now so hard to ford. We know God's priests had drunken iniquity, through our sins too did such offences come. Mad Martin's bell, the mouth of anarchy, knocks in the horror of that hollow drum. We know the tale, half truth and double treason, Borgia and Torquemada in the throng, bad men who had no right to their right reason, good men who had good reason to be wrong. But when that tangled war our fathers waged stirred against her, then could we hear right well, through roar of men not wrongfully enraged, the little hiss that only comes from hell. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Little Litany by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. When God turned back eternity and was young, ancient of days, grown little for your mirth, as under the low arch the land is bright, peered it through you, gate of heaven, and saw the earth. Or shutting out his shining skies a while, built you about him for a house of gold, to see in pictured walls his storied world return upon him as a tale is told. Or found his mirror there, the only glass that would not break with that unbearable light, till in a corner of the high dark house God looked on God, as ghosts meet in the night. Star of his morning, that unfallen star in the strange starry overturn of space, when earth and sky changed places for an hour, and heaven looked upwards in a human face. Or young on your strong knees and lifted up, wisdom cried out, whose voice is in the street, and more than twilight of twi-formed cherubim, made of his throne indeed a mercy seat. Or risen from play at your pale raiment hem, God grown adventurous from all time's repose, of all your tall body climbed the ivory tower, and kissed upon your mouth the mystic rose. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Ballad of King Arthur by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. King Arthur on Mount Baden bore the Virgin on his back, when Britain trod the Roman way, and the red gods went back to their desolate lands of dawn, and peace to westward lay. About the crowned and carven thing he carried all the day. The light on Baden battle was dark with driving darts, and dark with rocking catapults, reared yet of Roman arts, and dark with raven banners, riven but not too dark to see what shape it was above the shields in the sunburst of victory. King Arthur on Mount Baden bore Our Lady on his shield, high on that human altar held above the howling field. High on that living altar heaved, as a giant heaves a tower. She saw all heathenry appalled, and the turning of the hour. The sun on Baden battle in sanguine seas went down, and night had hid the Roman wall that hid the Christian town. And dim it hung on camp and dike, but not too dim to show what statue stood against the stars on Baden long ago. Great tales are told of dead men gone, and all men live by tales, and glory be to the endless tale, whose old news never failed. Arthur is lost in Lyonnesse, kings sought his grave in vain, and old men quote and question still, if Arthur comes again. The crawling dragon climbed his crest, the heralds paint his shield, the fairies stole the Roman sword, rusted on Baden field. They mixed his name with dames of France, and witches out of Wales. Great tales are told of dead men gone, and dead men tell no tales. The queens that bore King Arthur's bier in many a pageant pass, strange ladies walking by still lakes, like shadows in a glass. And well it were that on the world such splendid shadows shone, though round his throne 1,000 queens praised him like Solomon. The queen that wronged King Arthur's house had lovers in all lands, and many a poet praised her pride at many a queen's command. And the king shrank to a shadow, watching behind a screen, and the queen walked with Lancelot, and the world walked with the queen. The presses throbbed, the books piled high, the chant grew rich and strong. The virgin queen, the courtiers knew, had much esteem for song. The fairy queen, the poets praised, heard every fairy tale, but many a song were broken short, and many a voice would fail. Stillness like lightning strike the street, and doubt and deep amaze, and many a courtly bard be dumb, besides his buts and bays. And many a patron prince turned pale, if one such flash made plain the queen that stands at his right hand, if Arthur comes again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Regina Angelorum by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Kristen Hand. Our Lady went into a strange country. Our Lady, for she was ours, had run on the little hills behind the houses, and pulled small flowers. But she rose up and went into a strange country with strange thrones and powers. And there were giants in the land she walked in, tall as their toppling towns, with heads so high in the heaven, the constellations served them for crowns, and their feet might have forded like a brook the abysses where Babel drowns. They were girt about with the wings of the morning and evening, furled and unfurled, round the speckled sky where our small spinning planet like a top is twirled. And the swords they waved were the unending comets that shall end the world. And moving in innocence and in accident, she turned the face that none has ever looked on without loving on the lords of space. And one hailed her with her name in our own country that is full of grace. Our Lady went into a strange country, and they crowned her for a queen, for she needed never to be stayed or questioned, but only seen. And they were broken down under unbearable beauty as we have been. But ever she walked, till away in the last high places one great light shone, from the pillared throne of the king of all that country who sat thereon. And she cried aloud as she cried under the gibbet, for she saw her son. Our Lady wears a crown in a strange country, the crown he gave, but she has not forgotten to call her old companions, to call and crave. And to hear her calling a man might arise thunder on the doors of the grave. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Paradox by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Krista Zaleski. The Paradox. These wells that shine and seem as shallow as pools, these tales that, being too plain for the fool's eyes, incredibly clear, are clearly incredible. Truths by their depth deceiving more than lies. When did the 99 just men perceive a far faint mockery in their tidal sense, in the strange safety of their flocks and herds, and all the impenitence of innocence? The sons of reason sin not and throw stones, nor guess where burn behind the battered door, in the shining irony of Candlemas, 100 flames to purify the pure. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Towers of Time by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Krista Zaleski. The Towers of Time. Under what withering leprous light the very grass as hair is grey, grass in the cracks of the paving courts of gods we graved but yesterday. Senate, Republic, Empire all, we leaned our backs on like a wall, and blessed as strong and blamed as stolid. Can it be these that waver and fall? And what is this like a ghost returning, a dream grown strong in the strong daylight? The all-forsaken, the unforgotten, the ever behind and out of sight. We turned our backs, and our blind flesh felt it, growing and growing, a tower in height. Ah, not alone the evil splendor, and not the insolent arms alone, break with the ramrod stiff and brittle the scepter of the Nordic throne, but things of manlier renown, real in the wreck of throne and crown, with tyrannous tyranny, tyrannous loyalty, tyrannous liberty, all gone down. There is never a crack in the ivory tower, or a hinge to groan in the house of gold, or a leaf of the rose in the wind to wither, and she grows young as the world grows old. A woman clothed with the sun returning, to clothe the sun when the sun is cold. Ah, who had guessed that in a moment, great liberty that loosed the tribes, the republic of the young men's battles grew stale and stank of old men's bribes. And where we watched her smile in power, a statue like a starry tower, the stone face sneers as in a nightmare, down on a world that worms devour. Archaic, incredible, dead dawns breaking, deep in the deserts and wastes and wealds, where the dead cry aloud on Our Lady of Victories, Queen of the Eagles, aloft on the shields, and the sun is gone up on the thundering legion, on the roads of Rome to the battlefields. Ah, who had known, who had not seen, how soft and sudden on the fame of my most noble English ships the sunset light of Carthage came, and the thing I never had dreamed could be in the house of my fathers came to me. Through the sea-wall cloven, the cloud and dark, a voice divided, a doubtful sea. The light is bright on the Tower of David, the evening glows with the morning star. In the skies turned back and the days returning, she walks so near who had wandered far. And the heart of the swords, the 7 times wounded, was never wearied as our hearts are. How swift as with a fall of snow, new things grow hoary with the light. We watch the wrinkles crawl like snakes on the new image in our sight. The lines that sprang up taut and bold, sag like primordial monsters old, sink in the bas-reliefs of fossil, and the slow earth swallows them fold on fold. But light are the feet on the hills of the morning, of the lambs that leap up to the bride of the sun, and swift are the birds as the butterflies flashing, and sudden as laughter the rivulets run, and sudden forever as summer lightning, the light is bright on the world begun. Thou wilt not break as we have broken the towers we reared to rival thee, more true to England than the English, more just to freedom than the free. O trumpet of the intolerant truth, thou art more full of grace and ruth for the hopes of the world than the world that made them, the world that murdered the loves of our youth. Thou art more kind to our dreams, our mother, than the wise that wovest the dreams for shade. God is more good to the gods that mocked him than men are good to the gods they made. Tenderer with toys than a boy grown brutal, breaking the puppets with which he played. What are the flowers the garden guards not? And how but here should dreams return? And how of hearths made cold with ruin the wide wind-scattered ashes burn? What is the home of the heart set free? And where is the nesting of liberty? And where from the world shall the world take shelter, and man be master, and not with thee? Wisdom is set in her throne of thunder, the mirror of justice blinds the day. Where are the towers that are not of the city? Trophies and trumpetings, where are they? Where over the maze of the world returning, the byways bend to the king's highway. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Two Maidens by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Kristen Hand. Robin loved our dear lady, and for doubt of deadly sin, would never hurt a company that any woman was in. Old Ballad of Robin Hood. The wind had taken the tree-tops upon Sherwood, the noble wood. Two maidens met in the windy ways, held speech of Robin Hood. And the first maid to the second said, He keeps not tryst today. And the second said to the first maiden, Mayhap he is far away. And far away on the upland, the last trees broke in the sky, as they brought him out of grey Kirklees, to bend his bow and die. High on the moors above Kirklees, the mighty thief lay slain. The woman that had struck him down he would not strike again. And the maid cried as the high wind in the broken tree-tops cries, They have taken him out of the good greenwood, and I know not where he lies. The world is a wind that passes, and valor is in vain, and the tallest trees are broken, as the bravest men are slain. Deep in the nettles of a ditch he may die as a dog dies, or on the gallows, to be the game of the lawyers and the lies. The wood is full of wicked thieves, of robbers wild and strong, but though he walked the gallows way, of him I had no wrong. Because he scorned to do me scathe, I walked forth clean and free, and I call my name Maid Marian, because he honored me. I too am only a simple maid, our stories are the same, as your green gown to my blue gown, your name is like my name. The world is full of wicked men, of robbers rich and strong, to plot against my maiden fame, but of him I had no wrong. And because he scorned to do me scathe, I have travelled many a mile, to bring you a word out of his mouth, to lift your face and smile. He is not dead in the ditch nettles, or on the gallows tree, but a great king has taken him, to ride with his chivalry, and made him a master of bowmen, for the memory of the day, when one that died at the king's right hand was a thief on the king's highway. And I have travelled many a mile from a city beyond the sea, to give you news of your true love, because he honored me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
An Agreement by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Carrie Adams, your book voice. An Agreement. Mr. William Clissold regards birth control as the test of liberality. Those against it are reactionary. Those in favor are for the progressive revolution.
Well, you have laid it.
let the sword divide, and your unmotherly media be, here sundered from our human trinity, the mother and the virgin and the bride. Why should we falter? Ours shall be the mirth, and yours the amaze, when you have thinned away your starving serfs to fit their starveling pay, and seen the meek inheriting the earth. That Christ from this creative purity came forth your sterile appetites to scorn. Lo, in her house life without lust was born, so in your house lust without life shall die. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In October by G.K. Chesterton, read for LibriVox.org by Heidi Quist. Where are they gone that did delight in honor, abrupt and absolute as an epic ends? What light of the last things, like death at morning, crowns the true lovers and the tragic friends? Young priests with eager faces, bright as eagles, poor scholars of the harp-string, strict and strung, all the huge thirst of things irrevocable, and all the intolerant innocence that died young. The dark largesse of the last gesture flinging, the glove in challenge or gold in sacrifice, where are they gone that had delight in honor, that the world grows so greedy and so wise? Vow and averted head and high refusal, clean as the chasm where the dawn burns white, where shall they go that have delight in honor, when all men honor nothing but delight? Out of the infinite came finality, freedom that makes unfathomably sure, for only a wind of all the widest windows can close with such a clang that iron door. The doors that cannot shut shall never open, nor men make windows when they make not walls. Though emptiness extend its endless prison, in the white nightmare of its lengthening halls, shall they not rise and seek beyond the mountains that which unsays not and is not forsworn? Where should they wander, and in what other Eden find the lost happiness of the hope forlorn? Look in what other face for understanding, but hers who bore the child that brought the sword? Hang in what other house, trophy and tribute, the broken heart and the unbroken word? This month of luminous and golden ruin lit long ago the galleys and the guns. Here is there nothing but such loitering rhyme as down the blank of barren paper runs? As I write now, O Lady of last assurance, light in the laurels, sunrise of the dead, wind of the ships and lightning of Lepanto, in honor of thee to whom all honor is fled. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Laughter by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Kristen Hand. Say to the lover when the lane thrills through its leaves to feel her feet, you only feel what smashed the slime when the first monstrous brutes could meet. Shall not the lover laugh and say, whom God gives season to be gay, well, for those monsters long ago, if that be so, but was it so? Say to the mother when the sun first springs and stiffens as for fight, so under that green roof of scum the tadpole is the frog's delight. So deep your brutish instincts lie, she will laugh loud enough and cry, then the poor frog is not so poor, O happy frog, but are you sure? Ye learned, ye that never laugh, but say such love in litany, hailed Isis, and such men as you danced by the cart of Cybele. Shall I not say, your cart at least goes far before your horse, poor beast, like her? You flatter them, maybe. What do you think you do to me? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Black Virgin by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. One in thy 1,000 statues we salute thee. On all thy 1,000 thrones acclaim and claim. Who walk in forest of thy forms and faces, walk in a forest calling on one name, and most of all, how this thing may be so, who know thee not are mystified to know. That one cries, here she stands, and one cries yonder, and thou wert home in heaven long ago. Burn deep in Bethlehem, in the golden shadows, ride above Rome upon the horns of stone. From low Lancastrian or South Saxon shelters, watch through dark years the dower that was thine own. Ghost of our land, White Lady of Walsingham, shall they not live that call upon thy name? If an old song on a wild wind be blowing, crying of holy country whence they came. Root deep in Chartres, the roses blown of glass, burning above thee in the high betrayal, on Cornish crags take for salute of swords, or peacock seas the far salute of sails. Glooming in bronze, or gay in painted wood, a great doll given where the child is good, save that she gave the child who gave the doll, in whom all dolls are dreams of motherhood. I have found thee like a little shepherdess, gay with green ribbons, and passed on to find Michael called angel, Hugh the mother of God, like one that fills a mountain with a mind. Molten in silver or gold, or garbled in blue, or garbled in red, where the inner robe burns through, of the king's daughter, glorious within, change thine unchanging lights with every hue. Clothed with the sun, or standing on the moon, crowned with the stars, or single a morning star, sunlight and moonlight are thy luminous shadows, starlight and twilight thy refractions are. Lights and half-lights, and all lights turn about thee, but though we dazed can neither see nor doubt thee, something remains, nor can man live without it, nor can man find it bearable without thee. There runs a dark thread through the tapestries that time has woven with all the tints of time, something not evil but grotesque and groping, something not clear, not final, not sublime. Quaintest in pattern of primal plant or tree, or fish, the legless elfins of the sea, yet rare as this thine image in ebony, being most strange in its simplicity. Rare as the rushing of the wild black swans the Romans saw, or rocks remote and grim, where through black clouds the black sheep runs accursed, and through black clouds the shepherd follows him. By the black oak of the aeon-buried grove, by the black gems of the miner's treasure trove, monsters and freaks and fallen stars and sunken, most holy dark, cover our uncouth love. From thine high rock look down on Africa, the living darkness of devouring green, the loathsome smell of life, unquenchable. Look on low brows and blinking eyes between, on the dark heart where white folk find no place, on the dark bodies of an antic race, on all that fear thy light and love thy shadow, turn thou the mercy of thy midnight face. This also is in thy spectrum, this dark ray, beyond the deepening purples of thy length, darker than violet vestments, dark and secret, cloth of old night, yet cloud of heaven sent. As the black moon of some divine eclipse, as the black sun of the apocalypse, as the black flower that blessed Odysseus back from witchcraft, and he saw again the ships. In all thy thousand images we salute thee, claim and acclaim on all thy thousand thrones, hewn out of multicoloured rocks and risen, stained with the stored up sunsets in all tones. If in all tones and shades this shade I feel come from the black cathedrals of Castile, climbing these flat black stones of Catalunya, to thy most merciful face of night I kneel. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Images by G.K. Chesterton, read for LibriVox.org by Lee Vogler. I saw a mirror like the moon, made splendid by a sunken sun, framing the wrinkled face of kings and haloed harlots one by one, and many a judge with livid lips, and many a thief with thankful eyes, like his who climbed the torturing tree and drank that night in paradise. And something like a floating word behind a curtain overheard, by chance from a strange chamber found me. The mirror is a woman's eyes, speculum justiae ora pro nobis. Rose up through one clear rent of sky the midmost of a monstrous tower, far up, far down all earthly scale, escaping in its pathless power. Such strength as only burst from sight in some lost epic vast and wild, were giants piling up their tower, were pygmies by the thing they piled. And the heart knew without a word a strength below all strength had stirred, lifting the load of all the world, a woman's arm under a child. Terris Davidica, ora pro nobis. Broad was the house of burning gold, like sunrise standing on the mountains, a million mirrored flames that glowed on golden peacocks, golden fountains, as tree by tree stood rayed with flame, like seven-branched candlestick or fan. All glories in the age of gold glowed equal when the world began. But a voice speaking dreamily said in my ear, but not to me, one gold thread of a woman's hair has blown across the eyes of man. Domus aurea, ora pro nobis. Deep in a silvery wintry wood and secret skies where sleepers rove, an ivory torrent from the trees rose clearer than the sky it clove, too wan for flame, too warm for snow, which gold most delicate would defile, and near but never near growing, though one should labor mile on mile, and with it in the flash that brings sight of the world of little things, a woman's finger lifted up, a finger lifted with a smile. Turris Hibernia, ora pro nobis. Down through the purple desolation of deserts under stars they strode, who bore the dark and winged pavilion of their ungraven God forelode. Strange if the secret of the skies behind low crimson curtains hid, or if that vagrant booth defied the huge hypnotic pyramid, then in an instant come and gone, green fields and one that stood thereon, flashed like green lightning and the thunder. A woman was his walking home. Podiris arca ora pro nobis. O breakers, great iconoclasts, when will your raking hammers find what statues spring up with a word, what icons have built up the mind, or learn by hacking if the form be all a part or part a whole, or grind out of your gods made dust? What is the sign and what the soul? Or chase what images have hung in the air where any song was sung, seeing if the sword can put asunder all that was wedded with the tongue? Sed sapientiente ora pro nobis. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Trinkets by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Marilyn Rakes. A wandering world of rivers, a wavering world of trees. If the world grow dim and dizzy with all changes and degrees, it is but Our Lady's mirror hung dreaming in its place, shining with only shadows till she wakes it with her face. The standing whirlpool of the stars, the wheel of all the world, is a ring on Our Lady's finger, with the suns and moons impearled, with stars for stones to please her, who sits playing with her rings, with the great heart that a woman has and the love of little things. Wings of the whirlwind of the world, from here to Ispahan, spurning the flying forests, are light as Our Lady's fan. For all things violent here and vain lie open and all at ease, where God has girded heaven to guard her holy vanities. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Queen of Seven Swords by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. It will be obvious that the seven champions of Christendom who are here used as types of the different nations are only the imaginary paladins of the old boyish romance, and have no connection with the historical saints who bore their names. I had dreamed of a desolate land, deformed to its crooked skyline, as if the round earth itself could be bent out of shape in its shame, its plants stamped flat like a pattern by marching of more than mammoths, huge things more naked and nameless, too old or new for a name. And I knew what spirit had passed, who is vast beyond meaning or measure, the blank in the brain of the whirlwind, the hollow, the hungry thing, the nothing that swells and desires, the void that devours and dismembers, in the heart of barbarian armies or the idle hours of a king. Low light on the flat-topped hills like headless creatures of chaos, long shadows striping the slime like ghosts laid flat in the grave, low clouds lying flattened and spread as if heaven itself lay prostrate. And I looked on the world-wide waste, and I said, there is none to save. I knew not if time out of mind, last night or now or tomorrow, had broken that obscene dawn. On the strange scarred hills I trod, I saw on their breaking terraces, cracking and sinking forever, one shrine rise blackened and broken, like a last cry to God. Old gold on the roof hung ragged as scales of a dragon dropping. The gross green weeds of the desert had spawned on the painted wood. But erect in the earth's despair, and arisen against heaven interceding, whose name is cause of our joy, in the doorway of death she stood. The seven swords of her sorrow held out their hilts like a challenge. The blast of that stunning silence, as a sevenfold trumpet blew, majestic in more than gold, girt round with the glory of iron, the hub of her wheel of weapons, with a truth beyond torture, true. And it seemed as I gazed from afar from the cracks of the withering mountains, that 7 sad knights came riding from 7 points of the sky. Yet I knew their crests from of old, who had ridden in the fairy tourney, when all the days were daydreams, in the truant days gone by. The green rust and the red had rotted their bronze and iron. The green slime and the gray had stained them with many lands. The sheath of the sword hung hollow, but before the shrine in the twilight they ranked their empty scabbards, they raised their empty hands. And each man spoke, but in each was more than of one man speaking. A sound as of many waters, a tumult of many men. And I heard through my heaving dream the noise of the breaking of nations, and tribes that the terror scatters, and the trumpet gathers again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
St. James of Spain by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Lee Vogler. Mine eyes were strong with sorrows, none other blood shall say what lay on my heart for 100 years ere the stone was rolled away. When crushing the vines and statuary, the rock of my hand was hurled, featureless, faceless, enormous, the rolling stone of the world. The haters of wine, the horsemen, came on us like night at noon, the veiled knights with crooked swords that swear by the crooked moon. We endured to go down under darkness, beholding as men that die the name of their god of battles scrawled backwards across the sky. Queen of our own gold rotted what no man's iron could rend. Bronze gold, dark wine of the dust, if we stiffened and stood at the end. A gilded skeleton army, brittle and brown in the sun. Forget not what all have forgotten. This field was won. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. St. Denis of France by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Lee Vogler. Mine eyes were fierce with fever. I was lord of the sleepless land, where the foot sticks to the stirrup and the sword hilt to the hand. Torment of banners tossing when no wind blows, of the men that have made all marvels, except repose. On the east and the west gate graven our name was victory. We took all nations captive, that we might set them free. We could not endure the endurance of all slaves under the sun. We spat at them rights and riches out of a gun. Mother of hell came after, and the world laid waste for a word. If some of our blows fell upon thee, if some of our blows erred, it fell the fury of justice that fell from thee. Lo, we have freed all peoples. Oh, set us free. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Saint Anthony of Italy by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Marilyn Rakes. Mine eyes were blind with splendors. I have stood too long in the sun. The heat and the light and the laurels in the days when the world was one. And merry where all was ancient and careless where all was known. We dwelt in the gay glass houses that beckon the booby stone. The force of the foolish peoples that follow a king, on the light-winged thought came crashing with the weight of a thoughtless thing. And the virgins, the high republics that were wed to the vision and free, imperial clowns took captive, holding in harlotry. Lady of lilies in heaven, thy lilies on earth burn red. We built, and the wide world ruined. We wove, and they rent the thread. We carved, and the whole world shattered. We bound, and the world disbands. In the day I rise for requital. Hold thou mine hands. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
St. Patrick of Ireland by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Kerry Adams, your book voice. St. Patrick of Ireland. Mine eyes were alive with anger, for the gag was in my mouth. They bound me to a broken tree, with my face towards the south. And hucksters watched and betted, when would the great heart break? And pygmy pedants whipped me for thy name's sake. Thee, though the myrrh be bitter with the crushing of all sweet things, though we fed upon hope and hatred and the pride of the ragged kings, and the two-edged sword of the spirit that wounds the hand, torture could not take this from us. This is thy land. O smitten, O dolorous mother, if the cross fall forth of the crown, if thy rose grew dark in our garden, thy moon on our wrath went down, if too close be the cloud on Kiltartan, too deep the debt, forgive us when we forgive not, let us forget. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. St. Andrew of Scotland by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Kerry Adams, your book voice. St. Andrew of Scotland. Mine eyes were hard with horror. I walked on the heights alone, and the winds were winged bulls walking, clashing their wings of stone. And the Lord was rolled in the thunder, like the Bible in the plaid. And for fear of the feet above them, the stars went mad. On the seventh day from the seventh halted the earthquake feet, and they made an evil silence, a silence in the street, and men walked damned or chosen, as it was with the world begun, for the day that awaited all men for us was done. Mother of mirth and pardon, of laughter and tears and truce, Queen of the kind and careless knights that rode with the heart of Bruce, does there not wait upon wisdom a last surprise? Are we not weary of wisdom? Oh, make us wise. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. St. David of Wales by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Kerry Adams, your book voice. St. David of Wales. Mine eyes were shy with secrets. I was hunted to the hills. The shadow hunt of the rider that, riding, never kills, but is lost in the heights and hears over horrible chasms hung the voice of his vanished foeman sing in a strange tongue. But ours was the hound of Arthur, whose leap was long as the day, and the buried name of Britain that none but the Druids say. And a song is hid in my speech that sways like a tolling bell for the men that went forth to battle, but they always fell. Thine is no pride, princess, in the proud, the palpable things, in the vast flat plans of the plains that are traced in the charts of kings. He is thine that was born in the cavern, that died on the hill. A hymn is laid in my speech, it may cry to thee still. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
St. George of England by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Mine eyes were sealed with slumber. I sat too long at the ale. The green dew blights the banner, the red rust eats the mail, and a spider spanned the chasm from the hand to the fallen sword, and the sea sang me to sleep, for it called me lord. This was the hand of the hero, it strangled the dragon's scream, but I dreamed so long of the dragon that the dragon was a dream, and the knight that defied the dragon deserted the princess. Her knight had stolen her dowry, she had no redress. Mirror of justice, shine on us, blaze through the broad sky break. Show us our face, though it shatter us, shatter and shake us awake. We were not tortured of demons, with Berber and Scot. We that have loved have failed thee, oh, fail us not. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
All the Seven by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. We have lost our swords in the battle. We have broken our hearts in the world, since first we went forth from thy face with the Genfallen's gold unfurled. Disarmed and distraught and disundered, thy paladins come from the lands where the gods sit silent. Art thou too dumb? They waited, and minute by minute the hush grew hollow with horror from doubt, till a far voice spoke, as faint with pain and apart. Knew ye not, ye that seek, wherein I have hidden all things? Strewn far as the last lost battle, your swords have met in my heart. And it seemed that the swords fell down with a shock as of thunderbolts falling, and the strange knights bent to gather and gird them again for the fight. All blackened, a bugle blew, but all in that flash of blackness, with the clang of the fallen swords, I awoke, and the sun was bright. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of The Queen of the Seven Swords by G.K. Chesterton.